All right. Good morning, Benton Harbor. Good morning, Benton Harbor. This has been a morning so far in this very short day. Everything that could go wrong has gone wrong, but still we rise. We still rise. So we are here today with a guy who I only met a couple of times, but doesn't seem to smile a lot. CC McFall. How you doing, sir? There it is. Good morning, Benton Harbor. Today is Monday, September 19th. You're on Chat with the Chief for another Monday. I got two up and budding future current leaders of the community is going to take the place of old codgers like me and Mir Muhammad and other folks. So we're glad to be have them on the show and talk to them on some of their work. They work at the Boys and Girls Club, different capacities. We'll talk about that here in a second. So again, we're on today, September 19th. And we are going to be talking today about there is an event today at the Boys and Girls Club Teen Center. It's going to be a summit on gun violence, which is much needed. And we're going to be talking about that today. And again, we got Mr. Curtis McFall on and Mr. James Gunter. So good morning, guys. How you doing?
Good morning.
Excellent.
I can't hear.
You can't hear. I'm not sure. That is on your end. You hear me, James?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, maybe text him. I'm not sure what his volume situation is. It's got to be probably a conflict in the driver if he's got a separate microphone, which is very possible.
I can't hear him. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah.
But I can't hear it. Direct him again.
Okay. Yeah, probably check your settings. Tell him check his settings. Probably got two microphones that are bumping. So, and maybe log off, log back on. So, James.
Yes, sir.
As you see, so far, what could go wrong has gone wrong. Got nice, clear pictures. You guys look terrific, but it's been something. I got on the road. I got every single red light from my house to here. I got it here and took a while for the email probably to get to your filters, and we're coming on here and doing our thing. So is each Curtis can hear us?
I can't hear him.
So at first didn't he I thought he heard me.
Can you hear now?
I can't hear him at all.
Yeah, but you can hear Curtis.
I only can hear you.
Interesting. Well, let's do this. Again, I'm not exactly sure why that is. Other than maybe he log off, log back on. And James, we'll get started as we're kind of tinkering around with that. Again, we will improvise, adapt, overcome, even with technical difficulties. And having all the issues this morning, we're still going to get through here because I think this is the enemy that's trying to keep this discussion from going, because we need to be talking about gun violence in our community with our teens.
Absolutely.
And what you guys are doing to address that. But first, let's start at the beginning. James Gunter, you've been around for a minute. Benton Harbor, that I know of you, Benton Harbor resident, activist in the community, community leader, as far as a role model for our young boys and girls. So just kind of tell us about yourself individually and then your role at the Boys and Girls Club.
Absolutely. So my name is James Gunter, as you said. I am our mission support specialist at the Boys and Girls Club. I also co-founded an organization called Present Pillars, which focuses in on fatherhood in our community as well. I am a father of 1.5, have a baby due here in December.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And as well as my daughter Lennox and my girlfriend LaQuinta. I'm really just looking to make a difference. I would love to see our city be a lot safer and a lot more productive.
So now you were born and raised in Ben Arbor, correct?
Correct.
Okay, you went to Ben Arbor High School.
Yes, sir.
When did you graduate?
Class of 2007.
Okay. Yeah. So I think I was on the school board when you graduated.
I believe so.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember you from being at the high school back when I was on the school board.
Mhm.
So, it's refreshing to me. I said before, James, that, old codgers like me, as we get up in age, we need to start training the next generation.
Mhm.
And it's wonderful from my perspective to see a young man that was in high school is now transitioning as he grows up, becoming a leader in the community. So that is refreshing for me. I think that's a formula that we have here in Ben Harbor that we need to make sure that we are executing as far as passing down knowledge and helping to get you guys established to replace us. At some point, we'll be gone. I'll be gone. Not so much as far as dead gone, but there's going to be next leaders in the police department, the next leaders in the Boys and Girls Club, the next leaders are going to be mayors and commissioners, teachers, if you will. So let's try Curtis one more time. Curtis, can you hear me?
Now I can hear you.
Yeah.
Now he can hear me.
Now I can hear you.
There we go. There we go. So we improvise, adapt, overcome. We don't let anything get us down. This has been a crazy morning, but we're glad to have you here. You can hear us. We can hear you. So Curtis McFall, also we were talking about young leaders that are coming up, and I think us older guys got an obligation to help get you guys established because you will be our replacements. But you guys, as young guys, have done some really and are doing some really great stuff. So we heard from James. Curtis, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and then your role with the Boys and Girls Club.
Okay, I'm Curtis McFall, born and raised in Ben Harbor, graduated in 1998. Went off to college, came back home in 07. I'm married. I have 3 kids, 3 daughters, 7, 6, and 3.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Babies, daughters, boy.
Yes. Girls just got them off to school. Wife got them off to school this morning. So, and right now I am the family and alumni coordinator for the Boys and Girls Club, a new space that I just got into maybe a month or so ago.
Could you explain what that is?
It's basically wraparound services for our teens that go off after high school, and just a bridge for them and their families, just wraparound services if they need something for college, if it's job or work related, getting IDs, trying to plug the gap on things they need and keep their families connected to the Boys and Girls Club long after they're gone, because without the families and the parents, it wouldn't be a Boys and Girls Club.
Right. Absolutely. So James, did you say what do you do? What's your role at the Boys and Girls Club?
So my role is mission support specialist. So I support program services and our operations team.
Okay. Your operations team. So kind of explain a little bit more. It seemed like the Boys and Girls Club got some major operations they're going.
Yes. So in my role, I support basically 3 different people, assisting them with their duties. So those 3 people are Latoya Turner, John Sams, and Corey Neely. Latoya leads program services, John leads most of our school sites, and Corey leads our legacy sites.
Okay. So guys, I made several mentions of this, and I want to kind of touch on this real quickly with you guys, because I think that you guys are a perfect example of this. If you guys are history buff, you, especially Black history, you've heard E.B. Du Bois. I'm assuming, You've heard of the Talented 10th, his book, The Talented 10th. In that book, what he described as Black people from the community basically grow up, go away to college, get the education, become doctors, become pharmacists, become teachers, become lawyers, and come back to the community that they left to try to build it up. Now, of course, this was way back in the 1910s when, of course, segregation and whatnot was going strong. But I kind of in the back of my mind keep kind of a track when I meet people, young people such as yourselves, that for you the sky's the limit. You guys are clearly talented, intelligent. You left Ben Harbor, went to college. Instead of going anywhere in the country, in the world that you could have went with your talents, you chose to come back to Benton Harbor CC, you want to talk about your decision on why you came back and what that means to you?
I mean, it was just the passion I have for the kids in this community and just for my community, period. Going away and being able to see things a little differently, and then coming back and seeing the state that we were in and some of the kids that I knew. I got back into this space as soon as I got back home, just working with kids with the Boys and Girls Club. And I just seen a need. I just wanted to see our kids be successful in any capacity that they chose, but they have to be given the opportunity. So that I felt it was my plight to just come home and try to work with all the kids, all levels, going all the way up to high school, just making sure that they had what they needed, the tools that they needed. And I got back into it by coaching basketball. That was my outlet to reach the young men in our community through basketball. I was able and blessed enough to get a college scholarship playing basketball. So I just wanted to come home and just reiterate and just show them that it's possible to get out of here.
All right. I will say amen. Amen. Brother James.
So I came back because I'm the product of our Boys and Girls Club here, a product of our Boys and Girls Club here. And to me, I got to see firsthand how powerful it was. So I want to try to keep that going. I want to do my part here to just make sure that our youth receive the same type of passion and that I can pour into them the same way others poured into me. But since I've come back, my work has developed into fatherhood work. It's developed into just a lot more. So, yeah, I would say it's just the sky's the limit for our youth. But for them to get there, we just have to push a little harder every day. Just push a little harder and work together to make sure that they're getting everything they need.
So one thing, listen to you guys, and I think I'm also kind of the same boat. We do what we do, and we don't think about kind of the bigger picture. Like it's huge, because we have how many people that that went away to college that didn't come back. So now we get that leadership drain, that brain drain on the community. As I think we all would agree 100% that our youth needs some role models and leaderships. And you're two gentlemen that kind of met the call and came back. So I'm quite sure if you guys were to put resumes in anywhere in the country, you'd get the interviews, maybe even job offers. So I think because you guys are wired that way, you don't see it as the significant issue that it is, because we need to have more of us come back and pour into the community to make Benton Harbor the Benton Harbor. Some people say get back to the Benton Harbor of old, but I'm talking about the Benton Harbor of new. And in my mind, you guys are the next leaders of that. So, I definitely appreciate you guys. I like meeting James. I know we met kind of under kind of impromptu circumstances, but no, I really appreciate that. And I think, the Bible says give credit where credit is due. I'm paraphrasing, but I think you guys are a good example of what we as a community overall, we need to have our young ladies and our young men like yourselves come back and pour into the community. So that's outstanding. So James, I know in addition to what you do for the Boys and Girls Club, you also have an organization that you started, you're part of, and I think you guys kind of have like a kind of consortium. So I know about, you call it Present Pillars.
Correct.
Discuss what that is and what the goals of that organization are. And of course, does that mesh with the Boys and Girls Club, or is it separate? Is it conflict with? How does that work?
So as far as how it meshes, it's my hope that all hard work in Benton Harbor meshes. I believe when the community collaborates, everybody wins. So we have all this talent, all these resources, and typically, I would like to see this get better, but a lot of times we work in silos when we could be deepening our impact by working together. But as to what Present Pillars is a fatherhood-centric organization focusing in on 49022. We don't shun anyone else, but that's where our focus is. So we pretty much, as far as outcomes go, we pretty much want to make sure that dads have the resources, the support, the capacities to be the dads that our kids deserve.
Okay, that's awesome. So how long has your organization, Present Pillars, been in operation?
So John and I founded this July of 2021. So we're about almost 15 months old, if my math is correct, 14, 15 months old.
Okay. All right. Who's John?
John Sams.
Oh, okay. That's right. Tell John I said hi.
I will.
So, Curtis, do you have? I know you coach, and that in itself is huge. Do you have an organization like Present Pillars, or do you just kind of weave through that? And there's another one, 400 Black.
Black.
400.
Yeah, I just try to partner with the local entities that's going on and see if we can co-collaborate. It just brings more unity, and then I got more positive Black males to reach out to. So even if I don't provide that service, I can send them to someone else who does provide that service. So we're not recreating the wheel, or we're not just duplicating services. If it's an entity that's already in place, and it's a way that I can partnership and get with those guys, and we can wrap around services for our alumni, then I'm all for it.
Okay. So with the teen center, and in my mind, I got to remember the teen center is on Empire, because I think the older guys are used to the teen center now behind high school. So the Boys and Girls Club campus for the teenagers, which is across from the high school, is called the Smilo Teen Center, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So Curtis, you must have a long day. How do you do what you do? Again, you're pouring into young boys and young girls at the Boys and Girls Club. Then you take a break, go to basketball practice.
Yeah.
And then you pour into those young men. How do you do it?
Man, it's a few long days, but I mean, I feel like it's worth it. I'm still around the demographic that I love working with, which is youth, period. So I just continue it to the next. And it kind of blends, because some of the same people that play for their high school or for my team at Coloma, they go to the Boys and Girls Club. So it's just a constant interaction all day, and I'm able to keep a pulse on what's going on in the community as far as what they have going on. If I hear something, I'm able to step in, and if I can help it, or push it along. So it's fulfilling. Some days are longer than others if you have a game on the same day and you get home a little late. And sometimes when I get home, my kids are already asleep. Those are the worst days, when I get home and the kids are already in bed. But for the most part, it's very gratifying to be working with the youth basically for the majority of my day.
So it sounds like, so you guys are married. How long you been married, Curtis?
7 years.
All right, James?
I'm not married just yet.
Okay. How long you been with Mama?
Man, you put me on the spot.
Let's just say a long time.
Yeah, long time.
One of the things that people like us need is a very, very understanding wife. My wife, 21 years, actually working on 22 years next month, has been very understanding, because I term myself a recovering workaholic. So, and it sounds like you guys are much the same. You start early, leave late, and, catch your kids, hopefully catch them before they go night. And mom probably doesn't do a lot of fussing. So it's great to have that support. So that's good. That's real good. So let's talk about what we're talking about here. Violence. We got the summit that you have this evening, tonight at 5:30 at the Teen Center. So let's start with you, Curtis. Talk about how the recent upsurge in violence, not just in Ben Harbor, but across the country, how that may have affected you guys at the club. Have you seen any of your club, what do you call them, members?
Yes.
Involved in violence, victim of violence, suspect of violence. Talk about that. Let's start with you, Curtis, then James when he's done.
It's just, I don't know, it's just been a thing. A lot of our former club members have been involved or lost their lives to this issue right here. And it's just been going on rampant in our community. And we're such a small community. It affects families, it affects members, and it's just a consistent thing that goes on between families. And it seemed like we haven't been able to heal from it. And as soon as I took the job back at the Boys and Girls Club, this was the first thing that I had on my agenda. We have to speak to the youth about the violence that's going on peer to peer. And I just thought it was very important that we kind of highlight it, even though it's being highlighted in a negative way, but highlight it so everyone's aware, so we can try to work on positive solutions and different outlets for these teens to go through, so we can kind of curb some of this violence. That's why the first person I thought was you. I wanted to meet you, sit down with you, and see if we could partner and just come up with something so we can talk to the youth. I think this is an underserved demographic. A lot of people, once they get too old, they like, no, I'm not dealing with them. It's not affecting me. And so I wanted to be one of the reasons, one of the parts to help solve that disconnect between the older generation, my age, and the youth. We have to be able to talk to them. We have to be able to go around them, and we have to be able to speak to them and not necessarily speak down on them, but meet them where they're at. They're not going to be perfect. If you think about when you were a teenager, you made mistakes happen.
Right.
But we have to learn from these mistakes. And some of these mistakes are costing kids lives. So we
Absolutely.
can't have it that way. So we have to meet them where they are and listen to them, even though we might not agree with what they're saying, but that's the problem that they're going through every day. So we're trying to meet them where they are, and hopefully with the right connections and through this forum. This is the first of many forums that we'll be going around just dealing with issues in this community, but this is the most prevalent, in my opinion, right now. So hopefully through this and through other meetings, we can come together and build organizations and build communication wise, where we can kind of meet these kids every place that they're at, and we can try to help them through these situations that they're going through, especially with the violence in our community.
Man. Well, James, we're texting.
One more time.
You're texting there going on here. So what's your thoughts on that?
I agree with a lot of what Curtis just said. I've gotten to see a few of our members pass away like this, and I've seen it on the other side as well, where our members have been the ones actually taking a life. I especially agree with his point of the non-judgment part, because I've never been in their shoes. I have no idea what it's like to live the life that they lead now in the community as it stands now. So what I try to do is just, like you said, approach it with an open mind, and then try to just figure out, where do we go from here? What are the solutions? Because anybody can highlight the problem. So, but it takes a lot of patience and a lot of hard work to just try to work through and figure out solutions with them, so that we could get to that happy place where we all want to be.
So it's very, very difficult to myself as a coach to have one of your players be a victim of a violent act, life taken from guns or a gun. And I don't know if you could ever get over it, but you know the feeling I'm talking about. It's very disappointing, very hurtful. You kind of go back and think, what could I have done different? Might have been 10, 12 years ago. But, the whole thing is we do what we do, coaching as well as working for the Boys and Girls Club, because we want to connect. And then when you get a connection, it's great. I think, Curtis, we talked about this. It's nice when you're at places and, it's a few years later and somebody sees you. It's, hey, coach, how you doing? Hey, coach, I'm back in town. Hey, coach, what you been up to? Those things, that's rewarding. That in itself is reward. We're not getting money for this, or not a lot of money, I should say. But that's rewarding. But it hurts when one of yours gets murdered and loses their life. And of course, it's senseless gun violence. Curtis, talk about those experiences, unfortunate. And then I want to ask you guys, do you see any maybe common thread between some of the victims or victimizers, if you will, that you've experienced that have come through the club?
I don't know if it's a common thread, but we had quite a few former members pass away due to gun violence, those that we've seen, that we watched grow up and phased out through our club. So we had a lot of those situations, and me and a former coworker of mine, we used to have a conversation after someone passes. We was like, well, this is another one, and he would remind me of a time that they passed through the club, and I just thought that was very eerie that we had a lot of those situations from our kids, strictly from Ben Harbor area, passing away due to gun violence. So that was one of the things that I always kept in my mind, like, what do we need to be doing more? And luckily they created a position, Family and Alumni Services, that dealt with them once they transitioned from the club, to try to keep them under our wing and continue to provide help for them. But it's just very sad, and it's a cycle. So and it's all relatively close. If it's someone in the same community, two families are affected. the family of the person that passed and the family of the person that did it. So now it's always intertwined, and it's always a continuous motion between those two families. And sometimes the feud lasts for a long time.
Yes.
And other kids are born into that feud. So it just leads to another cycle of kids from a different generation that practically had nothing to do with that situation, but just inherit that same venom from the situation. So some kind of way we got to break the lines, and I'm hoping this is the start of us breaking those lines. Even though you can't take away what someone did, but we have to try to find a way to move on from that situation for both parties involved.
So you made a good point, Curtis, because I don't know, a lot of people may not know, but like the kind of like the two main groups that have been involved in a lot of the violence that have gone back and forth throughout these last few years, the genesis of that was a fight at the high school at a cafeteria back in, I want to say, 2018. And that has been, the War of the Worlds has been linked back to that fight. So, yeah, it's a very unique situation. And we got a lot of kids out there that are hurting. They're scared to death because of people walking around with guns. James, what have you seen as far as dealing with the kids that ultimately were involved in gun violence? Do you see any type of common thread or denominator that maybe we can look at and see if we can get some intervention on, or anything that you've noticed?
I would say a lot of our young men don't have all the proper tools in their toolbox. Whether that's conflict resolution skills, whether that's, I think they all lack that sense of safety. Because even if you look at even carrying a gun, a lot of them, especially in the eyes of the law, are too young to carry a gun. But
Right.
They're stuck balancing, hey, do I carry a gun? And that old saying, I'd rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6, right? So they're stuck between a rock and a hard place where they're trying to really balance out two difficult things, right? Do I take this felony, or do I allow someone to take my life? So it's a really hard space to be in. And a lot of times they receive all this judgment, and I can see why they have kind of turned their brains off to adults for the most part, because it's like no one's really hearing what they're saying. So I know this is true for Curtis. It's definitely true for me. We want to listen. We want solutions. We don't want to keep on saying the same thing. We're tired of seeing our boys die. Like,
Yes.
I said this thing the other day: Black men deserve to die of old age.
Right. That's pretty good.
Ridiculous how we just keep losing them, and it's like people are becoming numb to the fact that these are real lives, and it's not just a life that's taken; it's also the person that takes a life. Their life is also lost.
Right.
Like we lose them as well. So I don't want to lose on either side anymore. So I'm looking for solutions along with anybody else.
So one of the things that is, as I've kind of dove into this issue, one of the things that I see as far as maybe a contributing factor is I think that and there's many other people that agree. I think we have a deep community hurt. A lot of people, the community overall has been hurt. Individuals have been hurt. And I think that we have people who don't necessarily have the necessary skills to come maybe process emotions. I'm sure you've seen a lot of rage, a lot of anger. I know you've seen kids that go from 0 to 10 like that. It's like, okay, calm down. It's not that big a deal. But if we step back from the situation, look at it. This is just another young man or young woman who maybe hasn't got the kind of the coping skills or the communication skills as far as to adequately share their feelings. So because of the frustration, because of the anger, the rage, they kind of erupt and it kind of goes awry. And, I've seen that time and time again. And probably, mama or daddy were a hothead. So the kids kind of learn it too. But how do we help the young kids, especially for you? You guys might have them, a couple hours a day, maybe 4 hours at most. Have you also kind of seen that? And if so, how do you affect a young gal or a young guy by trying to, put in some of those skills to deal with life situations.
So
Those are some of the things that we're looking to provide after the Teen Summit. Definitely grief counseling, learning how to process and deal with your emotions after someone close to you pass, having someone to even relay and trust with your thoughts. I think that's one of the biggest issues with the youth, that they don't trust. It's hard to trust because someone can, 9 times out of 10, adult is talking down, or the respect is not even there from the beginning. So you get off on a rocky start. So you just wash your hands with the whole situation. It's got to be critical conversations with the youth about death, grief, and how to process it, and have someone that they can rely on and talk to. So that was the thing, wraparound services around mental health that we're hoping to get with the teens as well, just helping them speak and deal with death, because even as an adult, it's hard to deal with death. Sometimes some things you're harboring that you never tell anyone that you're feeling. But I just think we have to be accessible, and we have to be deliberate with our messages to the youth that we're here. We have places that we can contact you with that will be reliable for you, that you can help vent through and try to work on those emotional things. So say if you're a hothead, we got places where you can go and you can go talk to these people, and we can help you deal with it. Like James said, with conflict resolution, if you have a problem peer-to-peer, things that we can get down and we can get the two parties in the same room without the entourage, without the camera phones, the things that affect these kids today. And we can come to a happy medium to where we can either agree to disagree and move on, but at least have the space to be able to agree to disagree.
That's it. Brother James, you're going to say something?
Yeah, to add to that, when I was a member, we didn't have the social emotional development team, and now we do. It's one of the things that I'm really excited about. So I believe we're still building the team, but the ones that we have already are extremely competent, and I can't wait to see what they do in this space as well.
All right. So let's look at it. We had a couple comments that came in. Let's look at those. Thank those that are on there listening, those that are listening now, and those that will listen during the course of the week. So good morning, Candy Washington, Granberry. She says we need to go back to the old school manners and respect. And yes, meet the young adults where they at and tell them to dream. Our kids don't dream anymore. The elderly want to help, but these young adults have no respect. So that is a comment from Candy. We thank you for that. This is a different generation, guys. It's not like it used to be.
Definitely. Yeah. And we got to understand that. We always can say these not the old days. You can't keep saying the old days. No, these are not the old days. We have to adapt to the new days. The old days are the old days for a reason. Let's try to come current. Let's improve our communication for sure. It's always respectfully a way that you can talk to a young person and a young person can talk to an adult. But let's not turn our back the first signs of disrespect. It will happen. Communication is the least amount of things that the kids go through because everything is through your phone now. So face-to-face conversations are non-existent. You're either texting or you're on your phone or your TikToks. They have too many distractions to have face-to-face conversations. And they're not equipped right now to have. Some of them are not equipped to have face-to-face conversations because we have very talented teens all around and throughout Ben Harbor. So I don't want to cast a negative light on those that are doing well and that are respectful, but there are some. They just need to be taught. That's all. And sometimes teaching is not as simple as just telling them, barking at them. It's showing through your actions as well. So you respectfully go to them. And then if it's disrespect, then you can hopefully you can come to a resolution with that young person and say, you know what, we got off on the wrong foot. Let's start over. This is my name. I'm such and such. I work in the community. I'm helping, or I'm looking to help young individuals move forward. So we just gotta keep plugging. At the first sign of adversity, we can't just scrap the whole thing because it's going to be adversity. It's not a foolproof plan. Trust me, if we had the plan already, we wouldn't be going through this right now.
Right. I want to read out some more comments, and then I got a thought came to me. I want to ask you about when you're talking. And we're going to get to the summit. It's a great discussion, guys. We're going to get to the summit here in a couple minutes. Mr. Donnie Lane says, I believe we have to address the root cause of the violence, and that is poverty. That is huge, sir. A large percent of youth in this county are being raised under the thumb of low-wage employers. I can't remember a single wealthy person committing an armed robbery or burglary. Probably correct. They don't turn to narcotics to make money. I believe this is strong evidence that money is the problem and good-paying jobs are the solution. So, that's a good comment, good point. I think it all works together for the good. I know right now there's jobs that are available that is hard to get people in, but I think the point is for sure. I think poverty is one of the indicators that kind of leads to kind of like this behavior. So the question, we got some more comments, but a question I was going to ask you, Curtis, is when you were talking, kind of came to me. Do you think that some of the rage or some of the kind of the outbursts could be maybe personal defense mechanisms where a person can't necessarily express themselves in words, so they put up kind of this wall so that they don't get hurt, what they perceive as maybe being hurt. You think that's maybe a possible theory on maybe some of these young kids' behavior who just don't know and they're scared?
Most of the time, that's exactly what it is. So if I put up a angry front, you won't talk to me anymore. So that's kind of the way we avoid having these critical conversations, or a crucial conversation is what I like to call it. So some of the times you just fly off the handle, and then it's the end because nobody's going to reach back to you after you've done that. Most of the time, and people will just leave it where it is. So it's definitely a defense mechanism because they're not being taught to communicate. It's either you getting orders barked at you,
right,
or you're barking back. So it's no in between where we can just kind of get to the root of what's really going on. And sometimes it's as simple as just speaking to a teen. I know it sounds foreign. Just say hello, how you doing, good afternoon. You'll be surprised how many kids go through a whole day without one adult just being general and speaking.
Really?
Yes. They don't understand. It's like a foreign. When you say good morning, they think it's something that's coming. No, it's just good morning. Let's have a good day. If you need me, I'm right here. You'll be surprised if you just go up to a teen and just speak, the reaction that you'll get. Some of them will be shocked. They don't know how to even speak back, but it's just a natural thing. We have to start being conscious of each other being around. Good morning, good afternoon. I think that falls in the line of respect as far as older adults and the teens. It's just speaking. It's not nothing negative. I'm not telling you the first thing I see you is I tell you something negative. I'm telling you, good morning. Let's just start right there.
Somewhere that got lost.
Yes.
When I was coming up, black people spoke all the time. I mean, you could be across the street in the car, and we knew we had that nonverbal if you were far away. So yeah, I definitely agree with that. Hey, here's Dennis Holbrook Sr. He says accountable. Everyone has to be held accountable. I agree with that, regardless of status in the community. And maybe a good start could be a program designed to clean up the city and keep it clean. That would be there's a crime control model, Mr. Holbrook, that's called environmental design. That's exactly what it is. Clean up the city, and that's a form of crime control, because the theory is if there's an area that's clean, you would hope that people who might do wrong do it and won't do it there because it's not conducive to their activity because it's clean. So I agree. It says give a sense of pride. And everyone knows I'm not a fan of the system, but in order for the community to be held accountable, those put in place over to see have to be better in dealing with the situation we have here. And I would say I totally agree with Mr. Holbrook in this comment. We got Coach Jennings here. Great discussion, brothers, and let's keep it bringing in those solutions. Thank you, sir. We got here again, Coach Jennings. Building those relationships is key, and that takes time. Yes, it does. A great point. We didn't get into this thing overnight, and we're not going to get out of it overnight.
Yes.
But if we don't have the Curtis McFalls and the James Gunters, and the Dennis Holbrooks and the Rod Jennings, we'll never get out of it. So, my goal here, especially with Chapter Chief, is to bring issues. If you notice, it's not a bunch of fluffy talk. We've dealt with issues. I've had people on that didn't agree with me, that maybe have let me have it in the past. But the thing is, let's have dialogue. Just as we don't necessarily agree, let's not become enemies. The thing in our town, it's either 100% I'm with you or I'm 100% against you.
I'm
If I don't
100% no meeting in the middle, never on anything. And if that's the problem, that's one of the problems that we have in this community. I don't have to necessarily agree with what you're saying, but if our visions are aligned, let's meet somewhere in the middle. We
Right.
can always agree to disagree. It's like it's a crime if we agree to disagree. That doesn't mean I hate you or I hate anything that you stand for. It's just I don't agree with you on this one topic.
Right. So let's talk about today's forum. That's why we're here.
Yes.
And I'm trying to share the flyer here. And for some reason, this platform will not let me share it as just simply a file. So I have to screen share. So today, Brother McFall, talk to us about today's forum. Stand with us.
Yes.
You have Pastor Torres Montgomery, who's been on fire in the community against violence. Mayor Muhammad, myself, Trooper Burton, and the Honorable Judge Mayfield, who's the Chief Judge of Berrien County. So let's talk about that. What is this, and what we're trying to accomplish, and how's it going to work?
I think this is some of the best panelists we could have in our community. Thank you for donating your time for this situation. But we just want to get the dialogue started. As we said, I feel people at all levels. We got community groundwork. We got former state level police officers. We have the judge, Judge Mayfield, who sees these kids in and out of the system and should be able to help tell us how it is once you get in the system, because they have to know once something happens, what happens then. And then we have Mayor Muhammad, who's over the whole city and give us an overall outlook on the direction that the city could maybe take with the teens, like they did this summer by offering them jobs. Just little things like that, just to try to keep everybody going. So hopefully tonight will be the first where we build relationships and let them see you on the human level as well, not just police officer, because that's another stigma with the kids. As soon as they see police officer, I think they should run the other way when it shouldn't be like that.
Correct.
So we're hoping to get everybody on the human level and just have a good discussion and have them fire questions that they have for you as well.
Now, is this just for the club members? Or are there going to be other people from the community coming? How's that going to?
It's definitely open for the community. I would like other community members who have an interest and who are not afraid of our teams. We're looking to work and partner with them and partner with all the organizations that we have here, 400 Black or Present Pillars. Maybe you could offer something, but we definitely want you in and we want you to be around the teams. And unfortunately, we only have seating for 75 people. So we have to cap it. But community is definitely welcome in with the teams. Okay,
so I see you got the keynote speaker as Torres Montgomery. So how is he going to give a speech and then the panel open for questions, or how's that? What's going to be the logistics of the forum?
So, all right. So we'll pretty much start off with a welcome, a prayer, and then we want to move into the eating portion of the program. At which point, after Torres Montgomery will do his keynote, and then we'll move into questions and introductions of the panelists. So introductions of the panelists, and then move into questions to those panelists, and then we'll conclude from there.
Okay, so you said there's food.
Yes.
Yes. You got to break bread. That's the first start, I think, to breaking bread. That's the old format that I want to bring back. First, you break bread, you talk, you communicate over the dinner table or while we're eating. That's how you get to know the people around you or next to your table. Just fellowship. We're starting with the fellowship tonight.
Okay. Catered by Kenny G, Kendra Gray. It's going to be pretty good.
Okay, I'm not familiar with him, so I'm looking forward to that. What's going to be on the menu?
So we have a pasta bar.
Okay.
Yeah, she's a pretty good cook.
Okay. Outstanding. So his message, or I guess his keynote address. I'm trying to wrap my head around. I haven't seen a panel discussion where there's a speaker and then the discussion. So is he going to set the groundwork, or is he going to just have a message of hope, and then we get into the actual question and answer, or how's that going to look?
So he'll
He's
pretty.
going to start with a.
Oh, go ahead. See.
He's going to start with a message of hope and just positive reinforcement to the kids about, because he's been in this space for a while. He's spoken to our kids. He has a pretty prominent voice with the youth in our community. So we wanted to start with him addressing the teens and just letting them know what he sees and some of the things that we can do to circumvent what's going on. So he's going to kind of get us started in that space.
So I'm about to here I go. Here go McGinnis. Opening up can of worms. So let me ask you this from your guys' perspective. Of course, I wear two hats. I got this hat, also the church hat. So what I love is our partners. We got Present Pillars. We got 400 Black. So you guys are forming a consortium of organizations to bring resources and services to not duplicate, which is fantastic. We got Pastor Torres Montgomery is going to come. He's done some things in the community all summer. He's probably one of only a handful of churches that have, which is my point. In your guys' humble opinion, have you, unless this is the thing, again, here on Chat with the Chief, some things need to be said and something need to be talked about. Have you, from your perspectives, right or wrong, seen what you would term adequate church involvement with helping in the leadership of our youth? And have you seen enough other organizations, but more specifically, churches coming together? So we got two organizations that are coming together for a program, but where the church is at. ... What do you thought, James? Let's go with you first.
I would say if pastors are representatives of their churches, I do believe churches are involved. I've gotten to sit down with Pastor McCoy. We've had Torres Montgomery on our podcast before. We see what he's doing.
Take him out the mix. Take Torres out the mix. Who else you see?
Torres. I've seen you. I've seen.
Take me and McAfee out the mix.
Oh man, you taking all my book. Those are the most prominent, I would say. Pastor McAfee, yourself, Torres, and Pastor McCoy are the ones that I typically talk to. So, them aside, and that could just be my proximity as well. So I don't want to limit who's working to what I see. But those are the ones that I usually see.
Curtis, you can take a bite at this apple. What do you think?
Early on, when I first got back, it was Pastor Very was pretty prevalent in that space before he passed away. That was somebody that I bended his ear on a lot of things. But other than that, I don't know. I haven't really been paying attention in that kind of way, but I'm definitely not excluding anyone or any pastor that feels he can bring something to this, especially this topic that we're dealing with right now in our community. I'm open and looking to talk to anybody. That's what I was hopefully can convey from this right here, that partnerships are open, and I'm open to anyone who has a voice of positivity and is looking for solutions. I'm solution based. I don't like when I say I'm doing something and they come to me with a problem off the bat. I don't like that. I want you to come with a solution. Don't bring me a problem. Bring me a solution.
Absolutely.
Don't tell me how it's not going to work or what's going to go wrong. Mm-hmm. Come to me with something positive and enlighten me if I'm mistaken in an area and you bring expertise in that area. So I'm looking for partnerships. That's what I'm trying to open it up for everyone. It's going to take everyone. It's not going to be one person that spearheads this and get this community back where it needs to be and get our youth back on the right track, going off to college, getting jobs. So we have to focus. So anybody who's willing and I can learn something from, or they can enlighten me on a situation that I probably wasn't paying attention to, I'm all for it. So if it's a pastor, I don't care where the message comes from, honestly, as long as it's a positive message and we can move forward and hopefully get some tangible results from those situations, I'm open to anything.
Well, I'm going to say, and we got one more comment we're going to read. Well, not one more, but another one here. I'm calling on churches to do more.
Yes.
Me, McAfee, Torres, Pastor Palmer, we're calling for churches to do more. We should be helping with not just, this effort, but, we had Dylan Barnes on a couple weeks ago, Rocket football, need some financial
Yes.
help. Church is where you at. Here, you guys are
Mhm.
doing a community program. Churches, where your donations at to get a pasta bowl, whatever the case may be. I think we need to step it up more. It seems like churches might be kind of survival mode, and we've gotten away from actually going out and doing, I guess what street ministry, but getting out into the community. And some of the excuses I hear is, well, these young kids don't listen, or they're
See,
different. But that can't stop
At
it.
this point,
can't stop you. Yeah.
That can't
That's
stop
what
it.
I hear all the time. Like when it's like the teens are a forgotten group. Like once they reach a certain age and they don't do everything that you say, you turn your back on them. So now they're just wandering wanderless. And then when they get into situations, you say, "See, I told you," instead of saying, "Maybe I could have stopped it. Maybe I could have had a conversation. Maybe I could have pointed them in the right direction on what they was looking for." It's not going to be easy. That's the thing, that as soon as it gets a little adversity or they don't do exactly what you say, we can't wash our hands with them. They're still our babies. We raising them. They're
Mhm.
coming up under us. They're looking for guidance. Some of these kids, some of these teens are looking for someone just to
Yes,
believe in them, just to
stay
believe
there.
in them, just to
Come on, stay
encourage
there.
them, just anything positive from you instead of something negative. Okay, his pants are sagging. All right, what does that mean? That doesn't mean what is that? That doesn't mean really anything. Ask him, hey man, why don't you pull up your pants so we can have this conversation? How's your day? What you doing? What you got going on? What's going on at school? Just basic things that I think is needed instead of going to the extreme. Soon as they turn their back or they say something that you don't like, it's over with. Now he's bad. His parents bad. He come from bad. I mean, we got to stop it.
Get typecasted.
Yeah.
Um, so here is, and hopefully I'm not destroying this name, Nadros Nosedive. The problem is not just money. A lot of people are broken and damaged people who were raised by poor, broken, damaged people. Mental health is a big issue for my city and also play a big part in addictions, and not being able to maintain a job, with also leads to drugs. Kids are important, but so are the people raising them.
Mhm.
Most of the women I know don't have their kids, and their parents barely took care of them. Nadrosh knows that. I'm sorry for killing your name. And you have absolutely nailed it, nailed it, nailed it. And that's why I kind of made an allusion to it. It's systemic and it's deep. It does go back to the parents. It does go back to broken, damaged people. My wife is in the mental health field, and business is booming, unfortunately, and it's huge. Here's Brother Dennis
Yep.
here again. I'll take my. I'll talk, share my story. Isn't all that great, but definitely see life in a different way than I did 20 years ago, and living a better life. And that's what it's all about. Again, I know Dennis, so he's come a long way. God bless him.
And that was
Um,
another space that I plan to tap into. I'm doing financial literacy for the parents starting next month. I partnered, their name is slipping me right now, and they're going to
Some
kill me for this.
financial.
There you go. Summit Financial. We're partnering partnership with them to give our parents budgeting tips, financial education, financial literacy, how to improve your credit. So we're trying to do it on the both ends. We also have a feel good fridge at the youth campus that I fill up every month, and we give to families in need of food and meals. We provide meals for them. So it's a fine line. I'm trying to double. I'm trying to rescue the youth, and I'm trying to dig into our parents and give them encouragement and try to just be all around the board.
To add to what Cece just said, have you ever seen anything that was strictly positive towards black males or black fathers? Right? It's never existed. Like, typically, it's punitive. Everything is punitive towards us. It's my understanding that black fatherhood is the key to fixing black communities.
Gotcha.
Typically, when you talk about income, right, 2 incomes is better than 1. Right. I grew up with my dad. I know certain stuff, it's not gonna happen. You can't do that kind of stuff around dad. So when dads are at full strength, communities typically look a lot better. Communities are a lot better. So, and not just dads, moms. And how can we support mom more? Because we see a lot of single moms out here, right? Maybe dad is in the picture, but like, how do we strengthen our men so that they could take their place back in our society? Because that's what we're missing. Like, we're too few.
And that right there is a forum or a series of forums
Yes.
on its own. And I tell people, I tell my congregation and people that this conversation kind of comes up. If you get a chance, if you have not already, if you have not read the Willie Lynch,
Mm.
that book, Willie Lynch, it was literally a playbook on how to basically declaw, desensitize, and make like drones the black community. He literally says, if you do the things I'm telling you in this letter, then this will affect the slaves for 400 years. He said that. So a lot of things that we say we see were a direct result of slave owners employing the tactics from Willie Lynch. Willie Lynch was a landowner in the West Indies that came to the United States to a kind of basically a summit of slave owners, teaching them how to keep their slaves subdued. And again, he says, if you do these things, it'll last hundreds of years. So, he talks about pitting them against each other, having them not trust each other, removing the father from the family. That's all in there. So if you have not read the Willie Lynch letter, it would be an eye opener because you can identify things, remnants now that were in that book, those few hundred years ago.
It's crazy too that you say that, because how it manifests, if you look at how our boys behave, how our men behave,
right,
that's by design. If you look at how our women have trended towards and I don't want to be negative, but the whole "I don't need a man" thing, that's by design. Like it was designed this way, and he did it. He was really successful. Unfortunately, I hate it.
It was very successful. So, gents, we're running out of time here. I really appreciate that. Let's go, CC. You got any parting thoughts or comments, or talk about tonight, and then we'll go from when you're done, James, and we'll wrap this session up.
We're looking forward to tonight. We're going to set up right now. As soon as we get off this conference call, I'm looking to see positive people from the community. Please stick your head in if you can. If you got a minute to just come in and hear the dialogue that's going on, meet some of the teams that's coming through your community, good and bad. But we have mostly good teams. It's only a few that get led astray, but hopefully tonight will be the start of something very positive going forward, with all communication lines open between the Boys and Girls Club, the police department, the mayor, and hopefully the judicial system, so we can kind of wrap our services around these teams and meet them where they are. And hopefully this will be the first teen summit of many more impactful ones down the line.
Fantastic. Looking forward to it. Brother James.
I'm going to echo what C just said. It was perfect. No need to add or take away.
Hey, the next time we connect, we got a couple of your brothers that not on. We mentioned Brother Sam's.
Yes.
And then I do want to meet 400 Black. That is
Nick Blue, Kevin Moore,
Nick Blue. So let us communicate offline. Let's get another session back on. I'd like to connect those brothers because I want to hear about. We heard a little bit about Present Pillars. I want to hear about 400 Black, and support any way that we can. So, guys, I thank you. I look forward to this evening. We'll be at the Johnny Smilo Teen Center, which is on Empire, right across the street from the high school. 5:30. Is that when dinner starts? Or is that when the actual panel starts?
Dinner starts soon after 5:30. After we welcome everyone in, we'll start eating.
Okay. Well, come join us again. We have the panel with Pastor Torres Montgomery, Mayor Muhammad, myself, retired State Trooper Maurice Burton, and then the Honorable Judge Mabel Mayfield, who is the current Chief Judge of Berrien County Trial Court. It's good to have her. God knows we have so many issues with the court. That's probably a whole nother discussion and a summit to itself. But I thank the Lord for her being part of this community thing. This is a great panel, guys. You've done a great job. So anything that I can do to help push this and any other project along, you got my number. Let's stay connected. And I like to pour into you guys. And then, you guys give me an old head, new ideas, new frames of reference. So it goes both ways. So
because I definitely want to sit down with you about power when you get a minute.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, hey, I'll see you guys later. You guys be blessed. Be blessed in your families, your
All right.
your children, your wives, and you have
Thank you.
good days. And we will talk to you later.
All
Ben
right.
Arbor, chat with the chief here on our Facebook page, Ben Arbor Department of Public Safety, as well as the City of Ben Arbor YouTube page. We will talk to you next week, same time, same channel.